All right, welcome Real Estate Hustlers podcast. I'm your host, Josh Appleman. Today we are joined with Ashley Garner, founder of ABG Multifamily, is a seasoned real estate entrepreneur with 30 plus years experience, 300 plus units owned, and a track record of strong investor returns. Ashley, we appreciate you coming on the show today. If you could let the listeners know a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, thanks for the opportunity and hello, everyone. Like the intro said, I've been in the real estate business a long time and literally kind of grew up in this business in a very, again, literal mom and pop fashion. When I was a junior high and high school, my dad started buying old houses near the campus of West Virginia University, and we would subdivide them internally into student rental apartments. And so I grew up, with a hammer in my hand and, then working my way up through to the leasing and the operations management, financing, and all of those things. And then when I got out kind of on my own in life and started buying things on my own account, I kind of went through the normal progression, it seems like, with single families to duplexes, triplexes, and then on up from there. All along the while, I was my quote unquote day job was a real estate broker in the residential business. And I still have a team of folks that works for me in that arena, but I spend almost 100% of my time on the multifamily.
Nice. That's cool that you've got the transactional business, and then that's more, to me, in my opinion, that's a funnel too, because then
Yeah.
you can treat that business as keep the best and sell the rest, so to speak, because you've got opportunities that others wouldn't have. Which there's nothing wrong with that. You can handle
Yeah.
someone's situation and help them out and help yourself out.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And I have had opportunities presented that I probably wouldn't have had if I hadn't been in that side of the business. So you're exactly right.
So, and then the other piece that you started literally just ground up from experience to just, and then buying your own properties and then building it from there. So tell us a little bit about your first property and then your biggest property.
Yeah. Well, the first ones, like I said, were, single family, duplex, triplex. And back then, I was, again, I told you I grew up like with a hammer in my hand doing a lot of this work myself. And so when I first started out on my own, that's the way I started it out. If I was going to try to flip something, I was the one sanding the drywall and painting the walls. And so I went through all of that, and those things turned out well enough that, I got more and more hooked on the passive income and the real estate business investment side of it, and having the money coming in, whether I clocked in or not. That stuff really started to sink in. So then when I made the move to get on the path that I'm on now, I realized that I was kind of mathematically eliminated from achieving the financial goals that I had if I didn't somehow pick up the pace. And so I knew I needed, or for my case, I needed to increase the number of units so that I could get to the financial goals I had. So in 2013, I bought a 10 unit multifamily, which I still own, and it's been fabulous. But that was you might as well have told me to go climb Mount Everest at the time. That, to me, that was a huge, huge deal. I'm really glad I took that step, though.
Well, that was a different time too. I mean, that was coming out of the era. I mean, so you had different things battling with you too. You had probably
Yeah.
your experiences there as an operator, but I mean, that's your biggest property out of single family duplexes. So then you had to make it work with the banks and
Right.
everything else. So. Very cool. So now, then you decided to start scaling your portfolio, and you got a 10 unit. So tell us. I mean, right now you've got 300 units, correct?
Right. Right.
So that's
Yes.
just the accumulation over the years.
Well, I went from the 10 unit, and then the next one was a 32 unit, and that one, there was like a 5-year gap in there, which so the 32 unit was in 2018, which again was a whole different real estate market. Looking back, of course, I wish that I'd have bought 1,000
more.
apartment units back then, right?
The basis would be a little different.
Yeah, I mean, the basis in the 10 unit place was roughly 25, 30,000 a unit, and
Yeah.
the basis in the 32 unit place was more like 40,000. And so then the next one was a 37 unit, and then most recently in February of this year was a 196 unit place.
Nice.
And so again, with our goal is to scale to more units more quickly, we've focused on larger properties.
So acquiring quickly, that's a part of the episode, is scale quickly or build wealth. I mean, you could do one of the same, but slow and steady is good too. But what made you decide to go heavy and hard?
Yeah, and and I say quickly, if you really look at the timeline of all of this, it's a long time. I say quickly, but it from 2010, 2013 until now, 13, 15 years. So I say quickly, but it's not like that's a pretty slow pace, really, if you think about it.
You made a decision,
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
anything, to start
It
building
was a
the portfolio.
mindset.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I mentioned that 10 unit place, how at the time, I felt like this was a monumental thing to have to do. And I felt the same way in February when we purchased the 196 unit. I had the same feeling that I had when I bought the 10 unit place. And it really is true that it's just bigger numbers. It's the same business, but there are definitely some differences in, each new goal, each new mountain you climb, it feels like a big achievement at the time.
Yeah. A new set of issues, which new issues is a good thing. You're creating new problems that weren't there before. You have to solve those problems. This 196, how'd you find it?
So that was a broker deal. The 37 unit and the 196 unit were listed by, commercial multifamily brokers. The others were more of an off-market type thing. So I've done both.
How did you sell yourself to the broker that you're the buyer?
Well, that was so you can imagine that was a challenge because we were coming from a resume of 10, 32, 37 and convincing them that we were the right people to take down the 196. So, honestly, it was we're very sincere folks, by the way. As you can probably tell, there's nothing fancy, but we told our story. We told the logic behind our conservative underwriting. We shared the database of investor relations that we had, and they said, "Okay, this seems like a good fit." And there were I don't know how many offers. There were definitely many multiple offers in that deal, and we were awarded the deal in the end. That's exciting.
Tell us about the deal. What was compelling about it? What in the underwriting is different than the other ones out there?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. So for us, I like things to make financial sense based on the operations today, not based on how much I can raise the rent or how much value I can add if I do all this work. To me, that's the incentive. That's the gravy that I'm trying to get after I buy it based on today's performance. And so that deal, it worked. The numbers worked based on the rents that they were getting at the time that we bought it, and the occupancy and the rents. Then what made it really work is that after we got into it, we started doing our homework and our due diligence, really digging in. We found some operational efficiencies that we could put into place the day we bought it that would go straight to the bottom line. So while we may have bought it at a 6.5 cap rate, based on the previous owner's financial performance, the day we bought it, we put into place efficiencies and savings that really, it ended up, we bought it at like a 7 or 8 cap rate, so that was pretty powerful for us.
Yeah, we'll go through the financials and the add backs. That's kind of the hidden gems. If you see high capex cost and other things, you can capitalize on.
Mhm.
Those are nuggets for sure.
Yeah.
Um, how did you finance it? Is it a bridge loan? Is it agency?
Yeah. So, we learned a lot through that. We went in with the intent of agency financing, and then and timing is important in all this stuff. Obviously, a lot of things that you can't control. But we headed down the agency path, and it just wasn't the right time. In other words, the main difference was the LTV wasn't high enough, and so we would have had to raise a tremendous amount of capital. So we ended up going with a bridge debt, with our eye on a HUD 223F loan as soon as we could get it done. So we closed it with bridge debt, and I'd say in the last quarter of the process of getting the HUD 223F refinance. And
Wow.
that's like a 9 month. I mean, that's like an 8 or 9 month project.
Yeah, but that's all within the same year of acquisition too. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's been a busy year. And when we get the HUD loan closed, it's going to be a huge achievement. And we're waiting. We're waiting right now to see what the new appraisal is going to come out at. But all indications would lead us to believe that we will be pleased with the number based on what we've done so far.
Yeah, you get the appraisal, and then you're 15 weeks to close or 15 days to close. Well, typically, but you're HUD, so it's on their timeline.
Yeah.
Could be 15, could be 45. Who knows?
Right.
But cool. What kind of have you done any value add since you've owned it? Renovations, rent increases?
Yeah, and back to one of the things that made it attractive for us. This was one that we didn't have to do. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a solid like C+ class asset. So there's definitely room to improve the physical asset, but it was our opinion, and I think that this is held true, that now was not the time to raise rents. And keep in mind, we put this thing under contract in July of 24. So over a year ago that we put it under contract, and we just said, we can do all this work, but now's not the time to go raising rents on people. We just didn't think we could get the rent bumps that we would need to justify the big capex, like turning classics into platinums. And so we knew that we could rent it, just turn them over and get the rents that we needed to make the thing work. So we have done, standard turnovers. We've done parking lot stuff. We've painted, trim and doors, clean gutters, repaired deferred maintenance. We do have a new laundry room and laundry facility, but it hasn't been this big sweeping overall plan of CapEx. We still have that gravy left to get later on in the investment, I think.
What is the market saying? I mean, you should be able to see a delta between your in-place rents and then what the market's achieving on renovated units, right?
Yeah, and we're trying to balance that occupancy with the rate increases, and the rates are there, but I feel like we're in this. If we want to keep our occupancy where we want it, in the 96-ish range, then we've found our little niche of our rents, and so we're happy that we're able to keep them there. We don't feel forced to
stabilize
to raise them. Now we've got some units that have been turned and upgraded that we are able to get the improvements on. So again, that gives us a lot of hope in the future as this market turns, and the rent increases come back, that we know that we've got that delta to achieve.
Yeah, very cool. With the amount of experience that you have, firsthand operator, firsthand contractor, getting the things, just being everything, what are some learning lessons that you've learned along the way is that maybe a listener could appreciate and maybe learn from with your experience?
Yeah, well, I'm learning lots still. So taking it way back to when I first started buying things, you know, and I had that hammer in my hand, and I was the guy, you know, writing the leases, and I would use like TransUnion or something to run a credit check, but I was doing everything. And it's tempting when you're underwriting a property to say, I'm going to just put a zero on the line for property management expense because I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I was guilty of that until I realized that, wait a minute, you've got to value your own time at least is worth something. So it's costing you something, whether you have to like write the check for it or not. You could be doing something else. And so I developed that mindset of you have to make sure you always leave that cost in on your underwriting. If you don't, you know, what if you get sick? What if you move out of town? What if, there are reasons that you couldn't manage it yourself. You're going to have to pay someone. And if you didn't leave room, that's going to become a problem. So that's definitely one thing. And then for me, as we're trying to grow, it's the scaling of it. It's like the lessons I learned are like, all right, Ash, you got to stay in your lane. Okay. You've got your strengths and you've got to delegate everything else if you're going to scale this thing and get to a bigger level. So that's just a personal challenge for me, but it definitely holds you back if you're not able to get lots of things done efficiently by spreading it around.
Yeah, spreading yourself too thin, and then nothing gets achieved, and what does get achieved is not what it could be, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
After you bought your 10 unit, what were you doing in the time frame between the 10 unit and then your 37 unit?
Yeah, right. So, I was back. I was real big into the residential real estate business then, and we were doing well. We were selling lots of houses. The market was getting stronger and stronger during that period, and so that's what I was mostly doing. And I realized that looking back, my focus trying to keep one foot in this and one foot in this was like slowing me down. Not saying that I regret it because it was a good career, but that's the real reason that I didn't make the jump to the bigger multifamily. Another thing I was doing, which turned out to be, it was very unplanned, but definitely had a big impact on where I've ended up today, is in 2017, right before I bought the 32 unit, I had a heart attack and cardiac arrest. So I was dead and gone for a while, and then spent months after that recovering mentally and physically. The good part of that, well, there's many, many good parts that have come from that. But as it relates to multifamily real estate, while I was sick and recovering, the investment properties that I already had and owned kept paying the bills while I wasn't out at my day job clocking in and working. And so all of the books and videos and podcasts and everything that you read about this financial freedom and controlling your time and not having to clock in to get paid, it all became very real to me then, because I was literally laying in a bed and people kept paying their rent. And so when I'm going through that, it really, 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 really hit home that, hey, this is where you need to be focusing your time. And so since then, I have shifted, and 99% of my time now is on the multifamily stuff.
Yeah, and then you still have your transactional business going to help fund the multifamily business, the equity. Smart.
Yeah.
That's cool. Right. Very cool. What path would you recommend a new beginning real estate investor go down in their journey? That they might be listening to get some knowledge right now, but there's so much out there.
Man, there's so much out there. I think the main thing is that you have to understand that you're never going to know it all. You're never going to reach this point where you wake up one day and say, okay, today's the day I finally know all I need to know to take my first step. It if you're waiting on that, you're wait forever because it never happens. So, you need to educate yourself. You need to listen to stuff like your podcast, read the books, but ultimately you need to take action. And it may be that the action says, hey, I'm going to call Josh or I'm going to call Ashley and see if they want to do something with me, or if they would give me advice on what to do next. But if you don't take that step, you're never going to get to the next level. You're never going to know enough, or you're never going to know it all, but you just have to take the step. That's the main thing I would say.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, getting rooms, the local RIAs and the other guys that are doing it, just take mentorship and get in the room.
Yeah.
Very cool. Are you all managing your own properties right now?
No. So that's another thing that around the heart attack time, that was one of the many things that I had to decided that I wanted to cut out of my life. but we were managing all of them. We had the software and the employees, and we're doing it all. And again, for me, I kind of thought, well, I'll control this cost and I'll have more hands-on in the management. And what I personally realized was that the management of the properties was the same. It cost me the same, and the problems were all the same, whether I third-party managed it or outsourced it, or whether I did it in-house. The difference was that even though I had the employees, when I was managing the properties myself, then I was still the one at the end of the line when there was a problem. So if there was a water pipes leaking in the middle of the night, somehow it always found its way back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or if one of my employees didn't show up for work or made a mistake, I was dealing with that. And I said, well, you know what? I can just third party this out, pay whatever expense, and let the property manager handle all of that stuff. And so for me, it was the right thing to do. And I've never looked back. I'm much happier using third party personally.
How is that? How are you leveraging your new time that you found by offloading the property management?
Yeah. So I'm right in the middle, literally, of figuring out how to scale the things like acquisitions, like how do we underwrite properties on a scale, like a lot of them all at once? How do we
at least the back of the napkin underwriting?
Yeah, at least enough to know whether we want to pursue it any further or not. Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of stuff, we're trying to figure out our systems and processes so that we can manage the manager, that we can have our investor relations. That's what I'm doing. That's right here on the back of the board is all, those things on the board back there are how I built my residential career. This is all relationships. It's a trust issue. People need to know you, like you, and trust you, or they're not going to invest money with you. Those types of things. And it's all pretty basic. And even when you're trying to do things at scale, you may be using social media and email campaigns or whatever to make new relationships, but it's ultimately a relationship.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to have more relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's facts. And it's getting out there, being relevant, and then really it comes down to be who you say you are and do what you say you're going to do too.
Mm-hmm.
So big kid. That's where a lot of people fail at, is they just can't do what they say they're going to do. And that
pretty
goes
simple.
along with just owning a company and going through the motions too. It's simple, but some people, they just get tripped up on it.
Well, it's easy to get distracted. I find myself all the time get so like I have to remind myself, stay in my lane. I'll go down the rabbit hole of how to use this new tool in depth. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be in this lane. And it's a challenge to stay focused, for sure.
Yeah. What kind of AI tools are you using?
So we use an AI. We're just about to get our head fully around using some AI underwriting stuff. And then hopefully using that to generate letters of intent. We definitely use AI in helping us find like off-market properties and deals. We're trying to use it to help us automate the contact, the at least the initial investor relations, not the phone calls and stuff, but the initial contact.
Just get out there and start. Big thing is start
Yeah.
playing with the tools and see which ones can.
Yeah, but
increase your-
it's amazing. Even if you just use Chat GPT, I mean, it can do all of the underwriting. It can do basically everything. If you ask it the right question and give it the right prompt,
Yeah.
it will do the work for you. And it's, I've double checked it. I'm sure that it knows more than I do.
It'll get you there. It'll be 95%. You check just and again, like you said, it's the prompt too. So you can mess up your own information you get back by putting in the wrong ask. So
For
being
sure.
crystal clear on the prompt, and then even using AI to create the prompt. So it's
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. So, but very cool. Where are you sourcing your investors at? Is it just raw, just cold calling and telling them what you're about, what you're doing? Is it friends and family?
Yeah, so definitely friends and family, and but reinforcing that with our email campaigns, social media, LinkedIn, YouTube videos. We're doing all of that. But again, it's fascinating because those social media tools and AI tools are starting to work. And so we're getting interest in inquiries from people that I've never met. But my whole 20-year brokerage career was based on, hey, Josh, you're Bob's buddy and we have this connection somehow. And now we're making connections with people that we've never met other than our social media presence. So to me, that's kind of new. So I'm, when I somehow lead it toward a face-to-face call, like a Zoom call or something. And then it reminds you that people are the same all over the world.
Yeah.
Once you get to know them and talk, that, we're all kind of the same.
Yeah, without a doubt, for sure. Very cool. Ashley, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, learn more about yourself, learn more about your company, possibly invest with you, how can they reach out?
Yeah. So the website is abgmultifamily.com. And also on LinkedIn, and also, all the socials. YouTube channel is good. There's some great videos on there at ABG Real Estate.
Very cool. Ashley, definitely appreciate your time. Look forward to following you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Josh, I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.